I used to cling to the belief, maybe naively, that if I just poured enough sweat and dedication into my work, they would finally see me. Not just as the youngest child in the room, not just as Charles Harrison's only daughter, but as someone truly capable, someone all right of eventually helping steer the Harrison name into the future. My name is Rose Harrison, and if you've ever dined at a premier restaurant or stayed at a luxury boutique hotel managed by Harrison & Sons Hospitality Group, the powerhouse company that once practically defined high-end hospitality across the Midwest, with its roots firmly planted in Chicago, you already recognize my last name. What you probably don't know is that the Sons in that title wasn't merely clever branding. It felt more like a mission statement, a quiet yet firmly established decree that unequivocally stated, "This empire belongs to the men." I spent the better part of my youth navigating the controlled chaos of busy restaurant kitchens during dinner service, or observing the curated elegance of polished hotel lobbies, trailing behind my father and two older brothers, Mark and David, like an eager but consistently invisible shadow. While they got to pore over financial reports, discussed lucrative expansion plans, or approved new seasonal menu concepts, making pivotal decisions that shaped the company's direction, my contributions were often relegated to tasks like confirming seating charts or fetching espresso for visiting dignitaries, always on the periphery, absorbing everything but participating in little of consequence. My input, whenever offered, ideas for streamlining kitchen operations or innovative guest loyalty programs, was typically met with polite nods and those tight, patronizing smiles, the kind reserved for someone trying hard but fundamentally out of their depth. They called me ambitious, a word they wielded with the same gentle condescension one might use to describe a determined puppy attempting to scale a tall flight of stairs. Yet, I never voiced a complaint. I eagerly accepted every internship opportunity, every thankless back-of-house task, every grueling late-night shift managing banquet events they assigned me. I devoured every supplier contract, meticulously studied market trends and diner demographics, and arguably understood the group's intricate financials better than our own chief financial officer did. At 23, I was the only one in the immediate Harrison family holding a Master of Business Administration. By 24, I was managing operations for entire city districts, overseeing multiple properties, juggling budgets that extended into the millions. Titles, however, meant nothing if no one genuinely believed you deserved them, if the respect was not truly earned in their eyes. The very first time I dared to bring up long-term succession planning during a formal board meeting, a simple, logical suggestion to begin preparing for the next generation of leadership for Harrison and Sons, my father did not even grant me the courtesy of finishing my sentence. "You are not one of us, Rose," he stated, his voice carrying clearly, loud enough for the entire conference room to fall into a sudden, icy freeze. The silence was thick, suffocating. I blinked, stunned. "Excuse me." He did not even look directly at me as he continued flipping through his meeting notes. "This business," he declared, "was built by men. It is run by men. You are talented, Rose, certainly, but this is not your lane. You lack the necessary instinct." My oldest brother, Mark, let out a short chuckle from across the mahogany table. My mother simply stared down at her hands. No one offered a single word in my defense. Not even my uncle, who had privately remarked more than once that the company would be fortunate to have me leading someday. "You are too emotional," my father added, as if performing a kindness by explaining my perceived failings. You care too much about how people feel, not enough about how deals get finalized. That is not leadership, Rose. That is mere sentiment. I swallowed hard against the lump forming in my throat. That specific meeting was intended as a significant stepping stone. I had dedicated weeks to meticulous preparation. My pitch included detailed 5-year growth projections, crucial market insights focusing on shifting diner preferences towards sustainability and unique experiences, and a fully budgeted expansion plan centered around the innovative farm-to-table concept, integrated with subtle, experiential technology. But all they perceived was a naive young woman playing dress-up at the serious business table. They completely dismissed the potential, labeling it a vanity project, and fundamentally misunderstanding the evolving luxury market they supposedly served, blind to future trends. "Want to play CEO?" My father scoffed finally. "Fine, but not here. This is a real company, not your little sandbox. Go start your own group. See how far that gets you." That final barb from David, layered onto my father's earlier dismissals, solidified everything. Not one of us. The words echoed the sentiment permeating the room. I looked around the silent boardroom, scanning faces, desperately hoping for a glance of support. But all I encountered were averted eyes and stifled smirks. My mother was absent, increasingly avoiding these tense meetings. As I silently gathered my materials, my younger brother leaned forward, a smug grin spreading. "Hey," he chimed, "if that gourmet techie food thing does not work out, I hear a catering company downtown is hiring event planners. You could help arrange table settings." Uncomfortable laughter followed. Just like that, hope vanished. I knew this was not my family anymore, not in the way that mattered. I was simply an outsider bearing their name like a label I failed to earn. I did not cry then, not until reaching my apartment's solitude. Then, the floodgates opened, humiliation, rage, heartbreak, years of being dismissed, underestimated, told to be grateful for scraps. I wanted to scream. Instead, accepting the harsh reality and my father's sarcastic challenge, I packed a suitcase. I left Chicago the next morning without telling anyone, deliberately walking from that suffocating legacy into the unknown. I chose Austin, Texas, a vibrant city where the Harrison name meant nothing, where I could be just Rose, a woman with a vision, a plan, and nothing left to lose. There, in a small apartment above a bustling independent coffee shop, surrounded by the aroma of roasting beans, I sat down with my laptop, opened a blank document. This was the quiet, determined start of Verve Dining Group. Starting with that blank document in my Austin apartment, a profound sense of liberation washed over me. Being so thoroughly dismissed by my family, while initially painful, now felt like an unexpected advantage, the gift of invisibility. No one back in Chicago was watching. No one anticipated what I might build from nothing. In that tiny space above the coffee shop, with its chipped window paint and temperamental water heater, I began laying the foundation for Verve Dining Group, fueled by a newfound clarity I never possessed under the Harrison shadow. Lacking their vast financial resources, forced resourcefulness and ingenuity. Gone was the paralyzing need for their approval, the endless wait for permission that would never materialize. The name, Verve Dining Group, represented the energy and forward-thinking approach I intended to embody, a direct counterpoint to the stagnant traditions I had escaped. The initial days were undeniably brutal. My savings evaporated quickly. Instant noodles became a dietary staple, and sleep felt like a distant luxury as I routinely worked past midnight, driven by strong coffee and sheer determination. I pitched my consulting services and unique catering concepts relentlessly. To small event planners, boutique hotels, anyone who might listen. Rejections were frequent, but a crucial few said yes. I poured absolutely everything into those initial contracts, treating them like multi-million-dollar accounts, personally handling menu design, sourcing local ingredients, managing staff, even washing dishes when necessary. I embraced every conceivable role because failure was simply unthinkable. I was building Verve not merely to survive, but to fundamentally redefine hospitality excellence, completely on my own terms. I meticulously nurtured Verve Dining Group from its humble Austin beginnings, focusing intensely on delivering unparalleled quality and genuine innovation. Meanwhile, the Harrison and Sons Hospitality Group back in Chicago operated with the same unwavering confidence in its established dominance. Within 12 months, Verve boasted 5 dedicated full-time employees, secured a modest yet efficient professional kitchen space, and cultivated a growing roster of appreciative, high-profile clients. Our operations remained deliberately under the radar, not yet prominent enough for national media attention, but generating significant positive buzz within influential circles. Boutique hoteliers craving distinction, event planners seeking novel concepts, and discerning diners desiring authentic culinary experiences. We maintained this discreet profile by design. My family remained blissfully unaware that I was still deeply immersed in the hospitality industry, let alone constructing a direct challenge to their long-held reign. They could not fathom that Verve was more than just a fledgling startup. It represented emerging, potent competition. Keeping a discreet but vigilant watch on Harrison and Sons proved straightforward. Their communications continued to tout outdated service models, stubbornly ignoring palpable shifts in consumer demand towards sustainability and unique engagement. They coasted on their venerable name, blind to the evolving landscape. Consequently, Verve strategically began submitting quiet bids for, and progressively winning, substantial contracts, managing exclusive restaurants in new hotel developments, securing catering for major corporate galas, precisely the type of lucrative deals my father's company once landed without significant effort. They started losing these opportunities to a nimble, innovative firm offering faster execution and a more resonant vision, never suspecting the identity of their determined challenger. The established giant was beginning to falter, completely oblivious to the carefully orchestrated force subtly undermining its foundations. While Verve Dining Group had been steadily gaining ground and chipping away at Harrison and Sons' dominance from the shadows, the anonymity shielding its founder was about to shatter spectacularly. The definitive moment arrived unexpectedly on a quiet Monday morning amidst reviewing menu concepts for our latest sustainable dining venture near Seattle. My assistant suddenly rushed in, her face pale, holding out her buzzing phone. "Rose," she stammered, stunned, "you are absolutely everywhere." Confused, I looked as she turned the screen. Bold headlines stared back. Rose Harrison, hospitality's youngest female CEO, unveiled as founder of Verve Dining Group. My breath caught. This was not confined to industry journals. It had exploded across major news outlets, CNN Business, Forbes, prominent culinary publications. One headline encapsulated the sensational narrative perfectly. Ghost founder unmasked. Verve CEO is heiress who quietly outflanked Harrison and Sons. I instantly understood the story being told. The dismissed daughter, ridiculed for her foresight, now revealed as the architect of a rival empire built on the very principles her family had mocked. The protective cloak of invisibility evaporated in an instant. The world now knew precisely who was disrupting the established order. My phone ignited with calls and emails, reporters, potential investors, messages from industry contacts dormant for years. Yet the communication that resonated most deeply was a concise text from my mother. "Your father saw the reports. He has been silent for an hour." Staring at that message, I felt not guilt, but a strange calm. The public affirmation, though startling, underscored a profound internal shift. His validation was no longer the prize. When my publicist relayed the request for a national television appearance, I agreed without hesitation. Let us do it. Following the televised interview that cemented Verve dining groups and my own ascendancy, the invitation arrived like a relic from a past life. A crisp ivory envelope, embossed lettering, "Harrison Family Annual Reunion. Saturday at 4 p.m, hosted at the estate. No personal note, no acknowledgement, just ingrained tradition, proceeding as if nothing had fundamentally changed." I stared at it, the irony thick. 4 years prior, they had effectively laughed me out of their boardrooms, declaring I did not belong. Now, they summoned me back to the very house where I grew up, feeling like a perpetual guest rather than an heir. I had not stepped foot on the property since my departure. This year, however, I accepted. Not for them, but entirely for myself, for closure. That Saturday, I guided my sleek, black, lucid heir up to the familiar estate gates. The guard's eyes widened in recognition as he raised the barrier. The long driveway showcased the usual luxury sedans and SUVs, but mine was the only electric flagship drawing murmurs. I emerged slowly, dressed in a tailored ivory suit, understated elegance, quiet confidence. Heads turned as I walked towards the entrance. Conversations hushed. They all saw me now, truly saw me, but seemed uncertain how to react. My mother greeted me first, a flicker of something akin to regret in her eyes. Inside, amid the strained pleasantries, I bypassed my brothers, Mark and David, frozen near the fireplace, and headed straight for the back patio. There stood my father, Charles Harrison, looking smaller, gazing out over the manicured lawns like a monarch surveying diminished territory. He turned as I approached. "You came," he finally murmured. "I did." He studied me. "You have made quite a name for yourself." A pause. "The company, it is struggling. We could use your help." I met his gaze calmly, steadily. The anger I once carried had dissipated, replaced by quiet clarity. "You said I was never the smart one," I replied softly, echoing his dismissive words from years ago. "Just an emotional girl with ideas but no real power." He offered no denial. "Now," I continued, gesturing subtly towards the grand house, the strained atmosphere of the party, the visible cracks in his crumbling empire. "You want my help." His lips parted as if to argue, but I gently cut him off. "I am not here to rescue Harrison and Sons, Dad. I built Verve without you. While you and Mark and David were mocking my vision, I was creating. While you were dismissing my capabilities, I was becoming everything you insisted I could not be." He looked at me then, as if truly seeing a stranger. "Good," was all I said before turning to leave. Just before stepping away completely, I glanced back over my shoulder. "You were right about one thing, though," I added, my voice even. "I am not like you, and thank God for that." Walking back through the familiar rooms, people subtly parted, making way. Whispers followed, along with stolen glances and a few forced smiles. I needed none of it, not their admiration, not their belated respect. I had already won the only victory that mattered. Outside, my lucid heir waited. Sliding into the driver's seat, I took one final look back, not at the imposing house, but at the memory of the little girl who tried so desperately to be seen. I smiled. She was not trying anymore. She was leading. My journey, I hope, serves as a testament to the strength we can find in resilience, unwavering vision, and profound self-belief, especially when confronting ingrained biases and dismissive attitudes. My success underscores that genuine accomplishment rarely springs from inherited privilege or external applause. Rather, it is forged through relentless dedication, courageous innovation, and the sheer audacity to carve out your own unique path. Please, never permit negativity or others' limited perspectives to dictate your potential or define your worth. I learned that being underestimated can become a strategic advantage, granting you the space to build unnoticed. If you find yourself facing doubters or obstacles in your own life, try to channel that energy as I did. Transform skepticism into fuel. Trust your distinct insights. Act decisively. Let your results speak louder than any words. Cultivate independence from external validation. Persist through adversity, knowing meaningful achievements require time. Did my story resonate with your experiences? What specific lesson stands out most for you? Share your own journey or reflections in the comments. Please like and share if this narrative moved you, and subscribe for more stories of triumph. Always remember, you possess the ultimate power to rewrite your narrative. Start crafting your next chapter now.